Hi guys, welcome back to At Home with Holly. My name's Holly. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. So today we're going to do some processing on our onions and shallots. So we grew together some Dutch red shallots. We also did some Zabroon, like longer oval typed not oval, like banana typed shallots. Those we went ahead and replanted because we're growing again because they're easier to peel, and I'm excited to have those as a transition from these. But anyway, we grew shallots, we grew Patterson onions, which are storage onions, and they are not going bad. They still seem good, but I want to go ahead and process them before they go bad because we also grew red wing onions together. These are our red onions. And although they are storage onions as well, they are starting to sprout and go bad. And so we need to process them. I lost some of them. Olivia and I sorted through them yesterday, and the ones that were like obviously bad, we went ahead and pitched. But there's still quite a few that we need to sort through. I think I'm going to turn those into pickled red onions. And then the shallots, although they will stay good for like a year or more, they are really long lasting, which is why I'm trying to grow more of these next year, but the easier to peel ones. I want to go ahead and process them since we're already in the processing realm and I'm already going to be wearing goggles so that my eyes don't cry unnecessarily for hours. So I'm going to save some of them for fresh use. I like to grate them in seasoning burgers and meat and stuff like that. And salad dressing. So I want to save maybe about a quarter of what's here for fresh use, but the rest of them and the Patterson and the Red Wings, I want to go ahead and get processed and turn them into yummy things. So I'm so glad that you're here. Let's get started. Ooh, you know what? I'm also out of caramelized onions. I like to caramelize onions and keep them in my freezer. So we'll probably do a batch of those as well. All the bowls. So gathering my supplies, I've got some goggles because no matter who you are, if you cut this many onions or shallots, you are going to have some watering eyes. I'm going to pull out my veggie chopper. So this day ended up taking a lot longer than I thought. It always does. I always think that I'm going to get through onions or garlic in a very short amount of time because I only do a big peeling day once a year with each of them. So by the time I got through the onions, both types of onions, I made the decision that I was not going to do shallots on this day. So we will get to shallots together on another day because they are just smaller and more tedious and it just takes really long to peel them all. So I just want to save that for another day. I wanted to win on this day. So I actually started with the red wing onions first, got them all peeled and washed and put to the side. And then I went to my Patterson onions, got them all peeled. I peeled all of them first, cut off the ends and peeled them. And then I washed them. And although they were not sprouting or going soft like the red wings, they do store a few months longer than the red wings. I did find several of them that had some soft and mushy spots. So I was super glad that we actually got to it on this day. So I got everything peeled, got them all washed, and then I started off by dicing the Patterson onions, and I filled up my larger of the storage containers, which is like 1.5 gallons basically, with the diced ones. And then I thought, oh, you know what? I want some caramelized onions too. So I went ahead and used the mandolin attachment to start using to getting them nice and thinly sliced. I actually did end up catching my finger on the mandolin not when I was slicing it, but when I went to go pull off a chunk that got stuck. So always be careful when using the mandolin. So I had a glove on so that I didn't get any like onion juice where I was cut. I bandaged it up. I was fine, but I just went ahead and used the glove for the rest of the day. So I had a huge container of sliced Patterson onions. I had a bowl of sliced red wing onions, and I also had a large amount of the chopped Patterson onions as well. So super happy with the amount that we got from this. So once I had all of these in the forms that they were going to be preserved in, I went ahead and started working on the caramelized onions. Caramelized onions need to go low and slow to get that natural sweetness that comes from them being caramelized. And I knew that was going to take a while, and I knew that I wanted to split them into 2 pots so that they didn't so they weren't overfilled and end up steaming. I wanted them to really take their time. So I got a knob of butter, a large, probably about like 4 tablespoons in each of these pots. I added the sliced onions to them, and I put this on time lapse so you could just see that I'm literally just going about my day in the kitchen. I'm doing stuff. I'm helping with Olivia with stuff, and then every once in a while I'm coming back and giving them a stir so that they don't burn or stick to the bottom. And very, very slowly, it does take quite a bit of time, especially with this amount of onions. It took about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours of me just tending to them every once in a while and then going about my day. But they do end up becoming this beautiful caramel color and taste delicious. So we have our caramelized onions all in one pot, ready to go. I am going to get these into some little like muffin tin sized either scoops or molds or something and put them in the freezer to flash freeze. That way I can have caramelized onions whenever I want, or I might put them in a Ziploc bag so they can go flat. I'm not sure, but either way, we're going to get these stored to go in the freezer. We've got 2 gallon-sized Ziploc bags of diced onions, and now I'm going to put the red onions that we used a mandolin to get really thin. I actually nicked my finger, so that's why I have a glove on this finger now. So I'm going to measure out how many of the red onions we have thinly sliced. That way I know how much red wine vinegar we're going to actually pickle these. And I found a canning recipe to pickle them. I sometimes do the quick pickling in my fridge. So I'll try this one as well, because either way I can use them for salads and I'm excited to have them. So I'm going to get the onions measured out so I know how many we have, so that I can measure out how much red wine vinegar and garlic we need, because this recipe that I found in this canning book on page 314 says just red wine vinegar and garlic. So I like that. So I'm going to get these measured out so we know how much to put in our jars. Okay, so it looks like we have, if you smush them down, we have basically 2.5 quarts, a little over 2 quarts. So we'll call that 2 and a little quarts, which is 4 cups in a quart. So we have, I would guess, we have about 9 cups of red onions, and the recipe calls for 10 cups. So I'm just going to make the same amount of brine that it calls for, and I might have a little extra brine that I will use, keep in my fridge, and maybe do some other quick pickles. All right, I'm going to measure out 4 cups of red wine vinegar in here. One puck of frozen garlic. And I'll get this on the stove, and the directions say bring to boil, reduce heat and boil for 5 minutes. Basically, we're just trying to infuse the red wine vinegar with a little bit of garlic. And then we're going to add this, let it cook for 5 minutes, and then get them packed into the jars. Here we go. Okay, let me show you. We've got this good and hot. And now I'm going to add the red onions to it, let it go for about 5 minutes, fill the jars, and I'll get this ready to go too. I'm going to add a little more vinegar because I don't feel like that's enough. All right, we're going to get these jars filled. They're warm from being in the canner. Nice and clean and warm. That looks good. Smells good. So we're going to pack these full of the onions, and then we'll top off with the vinegar. So I'll fill all these up. We'll debubble, and then we'll make sure we are at 1/2 inch headspace. All right, we've got our 5 jars in. It's going to warm this up, can them for 15 minutes, and then it'll beep at us when it's ready to come out. I love having the digital pressure canner because you can use it as a pressure canner or as a water bath canner. And either way, it's so hands off that you don't have to worry about temperatures on a stove or is the flame too high or too low or anything like that. So we're going to let that go to work for me while I clean up a little bit more in the kitchen. We'll let this cool and use this for shallots. Good morning, my friend. It is the next day. We did not get everything finished last night, but we're gonna finish up today. So we did get all of our jars. Look how beautiful these look. We got 5 jars of our pickled red onions. We got all 2-gallon size bags of chopped, diced white Patterson onions. And today we just have all of the caramelized onions that we need to get packaged up to go in the freezer. And then our onion processing day is complete. So let me grab, it got late last night, so I took them and stuck them in the fridge. So I'm gonna get that bowl from the fridge and we will get these processed. I think I'm gonna do these, I think I'm gonna do them in snack size bags. I'm gonna fill them and lay them flat. I was gonna freeze them flat and just like cut them off, but I think that this will be good. So let me get a glove on my finger. Let me get the scoop that I need and get us set up. Just like that. And these will thaw really quickly. You can run them under hot water for like 1 minute or less, or you can just leave them out on the counter and they'll thaw within 10 minutes. So that's the perfect amount for like if we were going to do some burgers or if I wanted to add them to beef stroganoff or something like that. Anytime I'm cooking and I want the flavor of caramelized onions. So we'll get these full. You guys, we got 16 of these bags full. That's pretty awesome. So 16 bags of between 1/3 and 1/2 cup of caramelized onions ready to go whenever we need them. So I will double bag these. I will put these in a gallon freezer bag so that the smell doesn't leak out into my freezer. Whenever I'm doing garlic or onions or something that's really got a strong scent like that, I like to double bag it That way it doesn't leak in and you don't have, other things in your freezer like milk or cheese or something that end up tasting like this, or fruit, desserts, cupcakes, stuff like that. So I'll get these put into the freezer. That is awesome. And this pot smells so good. I won't waste it. I will. I think I'm actually going to cook beef stroganoff in that tonight, and that will be an amazing flavor. So I will put that pot in the fridge and not waste any of that flavor. So we did it, guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today while we did our onion projects. Well, yesterday, while we did our onion processing, we got 2-gallon bags of diced frozen onions ready to go. I just try to look at the things that I like to process or grow. I was thinking about this yesterday. I like to grow things and process things to replace what I would be buying at the store. And one of the convenience items that I always used to purchase at the grocery store was the bags of the frozen diced onions, because that way I was still, cooking and doing all the steps from scratch, but it was already a convenience item already done for me. So days like yesterday and today where I'm processing and I'm spending a couple hours in the kitchen doing that, I like doing that if the end result is I'm going to have more convenience foods. Every time you go to caramelize onions, it's like 45 minutes to an hour and a half. So to be able to take an hour and a half and get 16 servings worth so that the next 16 times I don't have to do that, that's worth it to me. Or dicing the onions and knowing that they were grown here, and what they were grown with and how they were grown. But I would get it from a local farmer if I didn't have the space to grow it myself. So just want to say that I love having these convenience items like this in my freezer, and I love knowing where they come from, and I love spending this time with you guys. So thank you so much for all the likes and the comments and the shares. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. We have a whole lot more growing. It is almost garden. Well, it is. It's garden planting season. So I've got my seed orders in. They're going to be coming in. I've got garden planting to do. It's almost time to start sweet potato slips. We've got more chicken tending to do, and we've got some amazing building projects coming up in the next month. So I'm excited that you guys are here with me. Thank you guys so much. It means so much to me and my family. I can't wait to see you guys next time. Bye, my friend.